Gospel 1360. Gloria Leonard Ministries presents Preparing Hearts, Changing Lives radio broadcast. Preparing Hearts, Changing Lives talk show pursuing family wholeness. We're doing a new thing. We're making a way in the desert to reclaim and regain what the devil has stolen. Be aware this show can be informative and controversial. Tune in every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. For more information and bookings, visit www.glminphcl.net. That's www.glminphcl.net. Or call 877-232-0255. Now, here's your host, Gloria Leonard.
Good morning, listening audience, and we're here on the air at KWWJ 1360 with Miss Mitchell and
Elder E.J. Strong.
They're always here, they're always friendly, they're always kind. The facilitator, Dorothy Ashley. She's a counselor of family.
Good morning. This is Dorothy Ashley, and one of the topics we wanted to look at today was bullying. And as some of us have already learned, bullying is a learned behavior. There's been a lot of information in the news lately about children who are doing things to themselves because they have been bullied, or their self-esteem has been attacked, or they've been ridiculed, criticized. But one of the things that I've learned, bullying, really the root of it starts with older adults. When people work on jobs, they are bullied by supervisors, managers, CEOs. In the school system, principals, supervisors are bullied by board members, sometimes other administrative authority above them. So therefore, they come back and they bully their employees, the custodians, the teachers, the cooks. And the teachers get in class sometimes and they're overwhelmed, not all, but some end up bullying children or allow bullying to be done in the classroom because they're so overwhelmed. And even in families, we find that bullying is being done. A lot of times, we've looked at the news and we found where there's one child that's getting punished more than the others. One child locked up in a closet or not permitted to do things that other children are doing. We've had parents to admit that, yes, this was my favorite, or I didn't like that child because it reminded me of his dad or his sister or his grandmother. So we found that bullying is a learned behavior. Children learn this by observing adults. And whatever you teach children or you demonstrate to children, they will repeat it. And we know that even in the Bible sometimes we've seen, if you go back and you look in the Bible, that you will see that there was evidence of bullying. So we have to really look at the root of bullying and the different ways that it manifests itself on the job, in the school, in the community, and in the workplace. So we want to look at all of that to see what we can do to be part of the solution to the problem. Because if we're not part of the solution, we are part of the problem. And a lot of times we will not own up to what we have done. We don't own up to the fact that, hey, there have been times when we bullied, or I can think of several instances, even with my sisters, and we're settling my mother's estate. And as I'm the oldest and in charge of it, there were times when I had to do a little bit of bullying to say, hey, no, this is the way it's going to be. So sometimes we have to own up to the fact that we have been part of the problems and that children are standing back watching us. And so they really repeat that behavior. They learn it from us. And we are here today to try to find out if we can find some solutions. Sister Gloria?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, bullying is a learned behavior. And with children, I always go back to during the stages of growth and development. If the parent is a person that's involved in bullying, and they were bullied when they was a child, they're going to treat that child the same way. Because that's a behavior that they know, and that's a behavior that they know they can use to get what they want, or do it out of frustration. So a child, as he go through that stage of growth and development, he pick up that technique. He start using it in the house with his other siblings, with his playmates, and then when he get old enough to go to school, he takes it to school, because that's a way that he relieves his frustration, because that's the way he saw his mom bullying the dad, or the dad bullying the mom. And so you have to be very careful, dads, because of the fact that if you bully your wife, a male, he will pick that up thinking that's the way you're supposed to treat a woman. So then he become a bully and abusive to his girlfriend, to his wife, and he takes it on to his next level, because it always start off very innocent-like, and as the child grow older, it turns into something else, and it gets to another level.
That's very insightful. A lot of times people think that their children pick up bullying from outside the family. But when you've got a man who uses the excuse, or sometimes even a woman uses the excuse, I'm the head of the family, and you're going to do what I say, you're going to pay what I want you to pay, you're going to act the way I want you to act, you're going to fix the meals that I want you to fix, you're going to go where I want you to go, and you're going to stay at home when I want you to stay at home. Children see this, so they see that there is power in directing other people's lives. So therefore, when they get involved in school, church, community, they take those same little traits out there with them. You're going to always have a little leader of the pack. Everybody, even if they don't want to do this, they make the decision on what the little pack is going to do. That's a form of bullying, because bullying has the characteristics, if you don't do what I say or act the way I want you to act, there's going to be some retribution to it. With children, the retribution is you will be ostracized from the group. You will in turn become bullied. They will pick on you. They will talk about you. They will talk about your hair, your clothing, because that's their way of getting you in line. It's the same way they've learned at home. If the husband doesn't do what the wife wants to do or act in a certain way that she wants him to act, there are things that she can do, not cook the food, not perform sexually, or not hold conversations that will pull him into line, and vice versa. The husband does the same thing. Form of bullying. If you don't act the way I want you to act, then I will withhold my money. I will withhold my affection. I will withhold my approval. So bullying has the element of punishment when someone is out of line with the bullier, the person that's doing the bullying. A lot of times we don't even like to admit that we have been part of this process. But I think everybody can look in their past and see when they have had to, or they have coerced someone, which is a part of bullying, to do something out of fear. That person will do it not because they want to do it, but because of fear of withholding affection, withholding monetary support. So bullying is really pervasive in this culture. And sometimes we think we only deal with the children. It's not just the children. We have to go back and look at the root, the pervasiveness in the community, and educate adults on what they can do. And on jobs, a lot of times people have left jobs, have messed with their income because they have been bullied on the job. They have been hired for one position and given the duties, but the more responsibility and the better they get at the job, more stuff is piled on them. And so therefore they are bullied into doing stuff that was not even related to their original job description because of fear of retribution of what happened. They could be fired. Salary could be lowered. All right, Sister Gloria?
Yes, and we can look at something that's very prevalent in the media now with the president. he's being bullied by the Republican Party because of the fact they are trying to force him into a position that they believe would be an advantage to them. That's a form of bullying. So, it's just not with children, and it's just not with adults in the home and the school teachers, but in our political arena. We see it right now. And right now, they do not want to admit the root of the problem. It's not because the president is doing such a good job, and we all know he's done such a good job. And people who out there don't believe he's done a good job, you need to go back and revisit the data. So therefore, it's really, if you just cut through the chase, it's bias, bigotry, and racism there.
Exactly.
And all of that is being used to put him back in line because they look him not as the person, just like Martin Luther King says, they're looking at his color as opposed to how knowledgeable he is as a man. So therefore, certain areas and certain groups are not supposed to rise above a certain level, and there's always going to be that process of suppression, which is really a form of bullying in a sense.
It is exactly, because when you look at the riders they attached to the budget, that was a form of bullying, saying that for you to get this through, you're going to pass and rescind some things that you have made available to the people. So they were going to bully him into rescinding something that he felt passionate about.
Take his baby away from him.
Exactly. So that when he left, then they can say that, see, he had to repeal this. But we as Americans were made part of that bullying because there was something that we wanted, and we knew a lot of programs were crashing, closing, people were losing jobs. So we were also bullied into pressing him and the others. Okay, we don't care what the retributions, the long-term retributions are. We need this short-term release. We need to keep our jobs. So we were also bullied into pressing our representatives to do this and to do that. And people will make you think they are bullying you for your own good, but they have a personal agenda. So bullying has the element of making you think this is for my own good in the long run, when really it's not. A woman will say, okay, I've got to do this because this is for the preservation of the family. The children needs their father, so therefore I'm not going to do this, that, or the other. So they will do things like that to make sure that, hey, I'm going to get my agenda, because if I leave, then there's no father in the home. The family is broken up, and it's all because you did not go along with my program. So she's bullied, or he's bullied. So, sometimes it's a woman will bully a man. Let me do what I want to do. We are ready for calls. The calls number is 281-837-2222. KWWJ. If you have any comments, any insights, any input into the bullying is a learned behavior, you may call at 281-837-2222. Thank you so much, Sister Gloria, for letting us talk about this subject. It is a subject, and I usually call it the elephant in the room. Most people do not want to talk about it. They only want to talk about it as it relates to school or into politics. They feel that it does not touch my life. I'm not a part of it.
And a lot of times don't even want to relate it to politics.
They do not. They are afraid to touch it. But you gave a wonderful example on this last crisis that was an ideal example of being bullied. And if you ask all of those representatives and senators, they will tell you, no, that's not what it is, but that's exactly what it is. It is holding something over somebody's head to get what they want.
Caller. Hello, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to commend you on bringing out the subject of bullying. My grandson was bullied at school in the 4th grade, and many a times I brought it to the attention of the teachers and to the principal and assistant principal. And one day my grandson called me at work and said, "Grandma, come take me to the hospital." And he was kicked in the penis by a young man, and the school said they didn't know anything about it. So I had to take him to the emergency room, and I even called the administrator in on it, and I was called by the teacher and told, "Why you worrying about him being bullied? You should worry about him passing my class." And when I reported that, it was to no avail. So I ended up having to take my grandson out of that school. And I think it's just awful of how bullying continues to go on. You know, the teachers are bullied. They cry because the principals and administrators are bullying them. And then they take a blind eye to bullying in their classrooms because it's too much paperwork to write it up, or if a parent complains about it, or a grandparent like me, then they're bullied. So it's a vicious cycle. And I commend you for bringing that out on the radio like this, so to let people know that it is known. But it's like you said, it's the elephant in the room. And I would like y'all to speak on how you can make that elephant visible, and how some of this can be curtailed. So I'll hang up and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for your call.
Listener, that was a good thing. And before we take the next one, I want to say you were right to bring it to the teacher and the principal's attention, but put it in writing and send a copy to the board next time. This is how you make it more visible, because they have to react on a written complaint.
Caller.
President Obama keeps getting things that he really wants, and how they couldn't keep him out of office. There's a reason for that, and we as black people, and he as a black president, also know we have a bully buster, and that's God.
That's right, and the more they try to do to him, the more God just steps in and moves him a little higher.
That's right.
A little higher.
Okay, then.
I appreciate your call.
Okay.
Well, listener, thank you so much for that comment. But we, as I'll just say people, not just black people, but everybody, we have to really be aware and informed of what's really going on, because when things are brought to our attention and people are standing up who do not have the same things that we have, you got to look beneath the surface on why they're standing up. They're doing a filibuster or telling you that this is bad for you. When if you look into their lives, they're taking other handouts from the government themselves.
And I like to make this comment right here, and I know it's not dealing with bullying, but in essence it is about the Affordable Care Plan. Okay, the Affordable Care Plan, they claim that it is so bad for the public, for the citizens. But now, in the red states, including Texas, our governor, he refused to receive the stimulus money for Medicare and Medicaid. So therefore, these people will not even be eligible for the Affordable Care Plan. And if they put them in a different insurance, it'll be too expensive for them to even get that insurance. So, therefore, we have to be able to discern and do what is right for us, during this time that all this action is going on.
And Sister Gloria, that's a form of bullying, too. You're bullying people by not giving them specific information that could cause their lives or somebody else's life. But while I'm bullying you and telling you not to take it, I have the best insurance in the world.
But the critical part about it, Minister Ashley, the fact is that we're not going to get the money, but our tax money is going to go to the states that's getting the money.
Exactly.
So we're going to be paying for other people's insurance when our governor won't even allow us. Do that make sense?
No, it doesn't. But people those people put politicians in office, and they don't understand that politician can go to any hospital and his is paid for, and usually paid for by us, because he's under if he's an elected official.
For life.
Yeah, he's under some kind of government health care program. But he will tell you that a government health care program is not right for you. But he is also, and his family is getting health care through a government, some of them through a government health care program provided by whatever political office they are in. And people need to look even deeper into it. That if they're paying for their own personal insurance, then you got to say, well, okay, I can understand. But when government is paying for their insurance and they're telling you not to let government help you with yours, I think there's something wrong with that.
And then you're going to pay, your tax money going to go to another state because your governor will not and did not take the money.
And he's speaking for you. And you go back and re-elect these people over and over again to take your money out of your pocket, and as Sister Gloria says, to give it to another state. But people have to understand, bullying hides under all kinds of disguises, and bullies will make you think, I'm doing this to help you. And in the long run, you are suffering. Sometimes people are dying. There are people who are dying because of decisions made by other people to do. They do it in religion. They do it in churches. You have pastors who will sit there and convince you that if you don't pay this amount of money, you're going to die and go to hell. And if you don't give me this, make sure my salary is taken care of, or my wife is able to dress the way I want her to dress, we got a problem. Okay, caller. Okay. If you need to make a call and you want to weigh in on this subject, the number is 281-837-2222. 281-837-2222. So we have to look at it. Topic of bullying. And as we've looked in the Bible, if you go back to, and Sister Gloria, I'm going to need your help on this. When one of Abraham's sons, one of Jacob's sons went to get his wife, and he went to his father-in-law. And you tell me if I got the right ones right, because I didn't open my Bible to get we don't have Reverend Jay here today to correct me. But his father-in-law bullied him. He said, okay, you're going to work 7 years for your wife. And he's thinking he's getting one wife, Rachel, but he gets another. So, but he still had to work for the wife he didn't want. So he had to say 7 years. He said, well, okay, every lamb that's born, I'll send your flock. Every lamb that's born has got a spot. That'll be yours, and all the silent will be the father-in-law's. So God blessed him. God had his hand on him. And that's the way God will do us a lot of times. God will put stuff on us, and he'll touch us, and no matter what it is, it could be a piece of dirt, a leaf, he multiplies it. So he multiplied it, and he gave him the son-in-law. He increased his flock. So the father-in-law was looking at that. He says, okay, so the next 7 years for the second sister, the second wife, he says, okay, I'm going to take the spotted ones. I'm going to give you the solid. So God did it, but that was a form of bullying because he could not leave with his two wives until he served as a slave with his father-in-law.
And then he had to sneak off.
And exactly, because the father-in-law saw that as long as that son-in-law was on his land, he was being blessed. The father-in-law was getting a blessing through his son-in-law. God was multiplying his flocks. So he was not going to let him leave. He's getting free labor. His flocks are increasing by him being on his land. So he was finding all kinds of ways to bully him and make him stay there. So when he saw, and I believe this was Jacob, and when he saw that his father-in-law Rachel and Leah, he was not going to let him leave with Rachel and Leah, he had to sneak away. Why? Because he was bullied, because he was married to this man's two daughters, to stay there and work for him and increase his flock. So when we go back into the Bible, we see the bullying as it goes along, but we also see how God handled it. And this is what we have to do. It is a very pervasive thing. It is very insidious. It's sneaky. Like I say, it'll sneak into me. It'll sneak into you, and you have to realize it. Sister Gloria, before we get to the end, you have anything you want to add?
Well, if you just look at that scenario that you just given with Leah and Rachel with the father-in-law, and you was put it in today's environment, we can say over here, the daddy was the Republicans that took that promise and telling you that I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do that for you, but their motives was wrong.
Exactly.
And this
Selfish.
and this is why every time they try to stop a policy or something that President Obama is trying to do for not some people but for everybody, there's always opposition there, and God always step in.
A God factor. A God factor. I tell you what, you can't beat that God factor. So there is a God factor, and they want to make you blink. That bullying is so pervasive, and it's so manipulative, and it's so ingrained in our society that it reaches to the highest level. They call it something else, but it's not.
Okay. But we have to go back to the beginning. We were born with the sin nature. Sinners, if you just remember this listening order, sinners do what sinners do. You can't expect nothing else but from a sinner. If he has not been born again now, and not just born again, a relationship with the Lord, he's a sinner. He can be a backslider, but when he's a backslider, he knows when he get to the line, and then he draws back. But if you a sinner, never been saved, don't want to be saved,
no boundaries,
and living in a state of pride, sinners do what sinners supposed to, and you should expect nothing no better.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well.
You've been listening to Gloria Leonard Ministries Preparing Hearts, Changing Lives radio broadcast. To receive a copy of this show or other shows, contact Gloria Leonard Ministries at 877-232-0255 or visit online at glminphcl.net. Send check or money order for $15 to P.O. Box 45715, Houston, Texas 77245 with the date of the show. If you enjoyed this show and the information it provides and you'd like to just support the ministry, make your donations at Gloria Leonard Ministries website by logging on to glminphcl.net and clicking on the donation button. PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, and American Express accepted. For more information and bookings, call 877-232-0255. That's 877-232-0255. Make sure you tune in next Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., where our mission is to reclaim, regain, and reunite families through prayer, and to rescue our children from all unwholesome activities through prayer.